this again. Alrighty. So, I've lived in Seattle for a while now, and obviously, in Seattle, I'm not driving around here, okay? Whenever I get anywhere, I am not taking cars, because cars are expensive here, gas is expensive here, okay? I'm not even gonna think about wanting to pay for insurance. And among it all, why would I drive in one of the top ranked worst cities to drive a car in, okay? People are just crashing here, people don't care, people are just so passive aggressive. Okay? I don't even know what's going on half the time. I don't even know why people want to drive in the city. So, some of the best alternatives are public transportation. And as a UW student, I get access to 4 of these kinds of transportations, all for free. Obviously, we have the light rail, the Metrobus, the water taxis, as they're called, but they're just the ferries, and then streetcars. So I thought it would be a little interesting to just go through all 4 and then rate them. But I am anything but basic here, so we're going to be doing this through a tier list. The relevant way to do anything here. Because tier lists are still relevant, right? They're still relevant, right? They're, like, by the time of this recording, they should still be relevant. Unless there's some other kind of tier that we're doing, but we'll be fine. So the first thing on our list is going to be the streetcar, because history is favored in those that are old. Now, the first streetcar in Seattle was built in 1884, but it wasn't meant for cars. It was meant for horses. Obviously, that meant there was a bunch of horses pulling a bunch of carriages around, and I guess Seattle didn't like that. So, they eventually moved to electric streetcars in 1889, and that's pretty much what these streetcars are meant for now. They move around electrically, and there's only 2 of them left now. Only one in Capitol Hill that goes to Westlake, and then the other one in South Lake Union. Now, these streetcars are very interesting because they're just historically have a place here. Streetcars go through a lot of places, but the problem with them is that they just don't have a lot of traction anymore. They're not as popularly used, they're a little bit smaller, and they don't come by very often. So you gotta be there at certain times, at a certain place, in order to catch them. The streetcar I'm talking about is mostly the one from Capitol Hill to Westlake, mostly because that's the biggest one. And the most prominent places that actually goes to is a Swedish hospital, and then the International District. Other than that, there's not a whole lot to it. It tends to be very slow, and for that reason, it's gonna go in tier B. Now moving on to one of the more unknown pieces of transportation that's actually free, especially since they're all free here. That's going to be the water taxi. The reason for this is because it's actually just the fastest way from West Seattle to downtown Seattle, and I guess back in the old days, West Seattle was Maintown Seattle. And I guess people just wanted to move to the other side of the river. And before the water taxi was even a thing here, it had a predecessor called the Mosquito Fleet. Why it was called the Mosquito Fleet, I have no idea, but it was steam-based. The first licensed water taxi was launched on December 14th of 1888. Why they did that, I don't know. But the current water taxi only has 2 routes, but they're pretty quick. I mean, you can go out, especially if you're going from downtown to West Seattle, and you get a big view of the entire city. Very nice, very scenic. Very nice place. Very big, very warm. Actually, the inside's very warm. Not a whole lot of people here because it's freezing out here in Seattle because it's January and it's 20 degrees.
I don't know why I didn't decide to bring in a parka, or a parka, whatever they're called. But here we are. It's very beautiful. And we're going to West Seattle. Where that is, I have no idea. So we'll figure it out when we get there.
But when going on Seattle, it gets cold. However, you do get to see a lot of wildlife around there in the waters. And I've heard that there's a good restaurant in West Seattle. So take that what you will. And for that, this is going to go in Tier C. Because it's quick, there's no traffic when it comes to these two, no stops in between. However, the routes are very limited, and it's typically not something people know and will use on a regular basis. Now we're going to be moving on to the two that you probably know if you live in Seattle. The one we're going to be covering right now is the bus metro. King County's bus metro that covers, as it would suggest, all of King County. Where all of the King County is, I have no idea. But this whole thing started on January 1st, 1973, and it's still going on until today, with 273 routes across the county, those of which I cannot count. And there's a lot of long bus hours, so typically it goes from the mornings till late at night till the middle of the night when you're walking out of a club and you're trying to get back to your hotel room, but it's night out and you don't know where all the places are and you're trying to find them on your transit app. And then a part of the bus metros are these free rides, which are not free rides, they're just fast buses. So you gotta hop on and then they're gonna go up to 40 miles an hour on the main road. And they can get away with that because they have their own lane. So just like Washington drivers, they're gonna go fast and they're not gonna care. And if they crash into something, that's the city's problem now. What makes the bus metro kind of what it is just the fact that it's a bus metro. It's got a lot of routes, it's got a lot of stops. So if you're trying to get somewhere fast, this is not really the idea unless you're going on those big red ones. And obviously the bus is open to everyone. So you can get on and then you'll see the common folks of Seattle, whether they're trying to get to work, trying to get off of work, or you just meet the local interesting person here in Seattle who is just rambling about life. That's me. I'm the one who's rambling about life on the bus. But it's a very good system and it works as it does. So because of that, I'm going to put it in Tier A. Now for our fourth and final transportation method, we got the thing that Seattle is most known for when it comes to transportation. The light rail. Yes, that giant thing that looks like a train that's going either under the ground or over the skies trying to get to the airport. That thing. Obviously, it's been in production for a while, but it started on August 22nd of 2003. And it's usually one of the best ways to get around the city of Seattle, as it's kind of got the speed of the water taxi, but it doesn't have the frequent route stops of a bus. It's typically, you get on, you get going, you typically go to another district, and then you get off. And the thing about this one is, everyone uses it. It's a lot of stuff. And there's obviously plans for extension right now. It's trying to reach out into the rest of King County, which I believe it is. And it's very fast, and because it only takes me an hour to get from Northgate all the way to the airport. Which is good, because when I want to get to the airport, that's typically what I gotta take. One of the biggest problems with the light rail, though, is that whether people pay for it or not. because unlike the New York Metro, it is not really a thing where you can just pay and then the door opens. There's not even a point of jumping anything because there's nothing to jump here. You just walk by. And the city is trying to address these problems. Other people say that people shouldn't want to pay because of tax dollars. Other people say that they will gladly pay for others to not do this. And that's a whole problem here in Seattle. But we'll see how that goes when it comes. But for now, I'm going to leave it in the same tier as the bus, just because of how fast and how easy it is to use. However, unlike the bus, it's not as interconnected as everything else is right now. Maybe in the future, when it's reaching out to Tacoma, I can go find the local Olive Garden over there, and I can enjoy myself some nice pasta. Or I can just go continue eating at the Cheesecake Factory. That would be nice, actually. So, that about does it for all 4 of our free transportation methods. Obviously, there are the more standout-ish ones, and then there's the ones that people actually associate with transportation. Obviously, one is not taking the ferries every day to commute, but it is still a lovely option. And then streetcars are just more of a historical thing, you know. People tend to just take them for the experience, not really for the efficiency, obviously. Because, you know, you start out with people riding their horses through the streets, and then electrical with the rails, and now we got Seattleites driving around here in their crazy cars. It's just not fun. But obviously, these are only 4 different kinds of transportation that I covered in this video. I'm sure that if I was able to drive around, or if I could actually afford an Uber, those would be different experiences. And obviously, you'd provide some different kinds of things for their students when it comes to different kinds of transportation as well. There is some like King County Uber-esque kind of thing that you can call as a student, but it's a little murky because there's like requirements. And then they do things like where they have deals, so you can get from like Seattle and take like a ride all the way to somewhere to Canada. So that might be something I might try. That might be something that might be interesting. Canada vlog, perhaps. We'll see how it goes, but you know. Other than that, these are mostly the 4 ways anyone does anything around here. So, with that should be it. Cool, alright. Let's wrap things up. I don't know, what do people do around here again? Do Seattle things, I guess. I don't know. Go get a coffee. Alright, we're done. Wrap it up.